Kasich follows Cruz to the exit. Trump will be the Republican nominee. Also tonight, Bernie Sanders on his future. Do we have your word in this interview that you're not going to drop out before the Democratic convention?
Get on the buses, please.
90,000 residents flee a wall of flame that has devoured their city.
We lost everything now.
And remembering one of America's finest, gunned down by ISIS in Iraq.
He had a big heart, big smile, happy-go-lucky kid.
This is the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.
An outsider who read the mood of Republican voters better than anyone now controls a party that fought him every step of the way. This evening, his last opponent dropped out, ensuring that Donald Trump will be the party's first nominee since Eisenhower to run with no political experience. The Republican race began with a gaggle of 17 candidates. Ted Cruz quit last night after a loss in Indiana. Late today, John Kasich joined him. We'll talk to our CBS News political team about where all this goes from here. But first, it was 11 months ago that Trump's rise to the top began with a ride to the bottom.
I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
How can you succeed when you say things like that?
Well, you can't, again, Gail, the question is how can you become president? You can't by saying things like that.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
I have pledged to support the Republican nominee, and Donald Trump is not going to be the Republican nominee.
The media knows Donald Trump can't win.
Don't worry about it, don't worry about it, little Marco.
Gentlemen, breathe,
Lion Ted.
breathe. You can do it.
I am getting so many calls from people in the Republican Party that were totally against me and they want to join the team.
I am proud to be here to endorse Donald Trump.
Are you ready to make America great again?
I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about white supremacists. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Did he endorse me?
I hate to say it, I'm becoming mainstream. All these people are now endorsing me. You will be so proud of this country very, very soon. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
11 months of Donald Trump in just about 1 minute. The Democratic race is just about over as well. Bernie Sanders won in Indiana last night, but he essentially split the delegates with Hillary Clinton, and now she has 92% of the delegates that she needs for the nomination. Earlier today, I asked Sanders about his future. Senator Sanders, let me begin by acknowledging that I was dead wrong. After our interview, I suggested that New Hampshire would be your last victory party, and you've had 17 victory parties since then. But if I was wrong isn't the party over now?
Well, I really don't think so. I think we have a path toward victory. I admit that it is a narrow path, but we think everybody in this country, people in California, in Kentucky, and West Virginia, have a right to determine who they want to see as president of the United States and what kind of agenda they want the Democratic Party to have. So we're going to fight, Scott, for the very last vote that we can get.
Is defeating Trump the Democrats' highest priority?
Absolutely. I think that Mr. Trump would be a disaster for this country.
But are you now standing in the way of defeating Donald Trump?
No, on the contrary. Look, my candidacy, what we call the political revolution, has energized millions and millions of people, working people, young people. And the way Democrats win elections is when the voter turnout is high, when people are excited. And that's what we are doing.
To those who say that Secretary Clinton's delegate lead is insurmountable, you say what?
I say that we have a narrow path. It's a tough hill to climb, I acknowledge it, but I think we have a shot. A lot of the super delegates, I hope that they will listen to the people in their state and say, hey, we delivered for Bernie with landslide numbers. You as superdelegates have got to listen to us.
But Secretary Clinton has won by far the largest number of votes. How do you convince the superdelegates that they should go your way?
I think we make the case that, A, if you look at virtually all of the polling nationally, And in battleground states, Bernie Sanders does much better against Donald Trump than does Hillary Clinton.
Do we have your word in this interview that you're not going to drop out before the Democratic convention?
Absolutely. We have made that commitment. I'm going to be in it until the last vote is cast.
Senator Bernie Sanders, thanks very much for being with us. So what's next? Let's turn to our political team. Major Garrett is covering the Republicans. Nancy Cordes is with the Democrats. And we have John Dickerson in Washington, the anchor of Face the Nation. Nancy, let me start with you. How does the Clinton campaign go forward from here?
Well, they work to distill their message against Donald Trump. You heard Hillary Clinton today calling him risky. She called him a loose cannon 4 times. Nuclear weapons, another phrase you'll hear a lot. She'll argue that he's not steady enough to have his finger on the button. One Clinton campaign aide told me today they're basically going to break their message down into 3 parts. Number 1, he can't unify the country. Number 2, he can't be commander-in-chief. And number 3, he isn't out for anyone but himself.
And yet, Major, he defies all expectations. How do you see the campaign going ahead into November?
Senior Trump advisors have told me if Trump is the issue, they lose. What has to be the issue and what Trump has to guarantee is projected as the issue: the Obama administration, Hillary Clinton's role in it, insider versus outsider, establishment politics versus a new framing of politics. If Trump does that, his closest advisors believe the way he has remade the Republican map in the primaries can be remade in a general election. He can run competitively in places Republicans haven't for a good long while and change the dynamic of the race.
John Dickerson, how do you see Trump-Clinton?
Well, that word risk keeps coming in all the conversations I had today. The way some establishment Republicans are coming around to Trump is that they say, well, big risk, but also big reward. So they believe that he can put some new states in play. This is the most optimistic case, of course. Then there are others today who are talking about the dangers and unpredictability and volatility of Trump. They are still, a lot of Republicans in Washington, trying to figure out how much to get behind him and how much to run on their own kind of ticket and just hope that things don't come crashing down.
Nancy, is Donald Trump the candidate that Hillary Clinton wanted to run against?
He's very unpredictable, and her campaign acknowledges that. It perhaps would have been easier to run against someone like Ted Cruz. What they argue, though, is that they have some advantages that all of his Republican opponents didn't. First of all, they come out of the gate against him, pointing out his flaws in a way that a lot of the Republicans were afraid to, because A, they were afraid he would train his fire on them, and B, they wanted his supporters. Hillary Clinton isn't worried about that, so she will make the case on issues and on personality in a way that some Republicans only did when it was too late.
The other thing the Trump campaign has to begin working on is a vice presidential running mate. That formal vetting process hasn't begun. There isn't a committee. There isn't a single vetter who's looking over it. But the process will begin in the next couple of weeks.
And finally, John Dickerson, one of the fascinating things about this matchup is that both of these candidates, according to the polls, are disliked by a majority of the American people.
That's right, and we're going to see potentially some of these big outside groups spending money fast to define Donald Trump, which means that this race in its initial stage may be ugly from the start, and it may just keep getting uglier as they trade attacks back and forth between each other.
Been plenty ugly already. John Dickerson at Face the Nation, Nancy Cordes, Major Garrett, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
In another big story today, the largest automotive recall in American history has more than doubled. An additional 35 to 40 million Takata airbags have a deadly flaw. Jeff Glor's following this.
This issue is urgent. On March 31st, we had the 10th confirmed fatality in the United States.
NHTSA Administrator Mark Rosekind said today the effort to replace defective Takata airbags has to move faster, even though the task is monumental.
Replacement inflators need to be specifically engineered for each of the affected vehicle models.
The problem is ammonium nitrate, a volatile chemical that Takata Corporation started using more than 15 years ago to cut costs. Ammonium nitrate breaks down over time, especially in high heat, high humidity climates, and can cause the airbag inflator to malfunction, potentially sending shrapnel through the vehicle. Over 8 million inflators have been replaced so far, but that's less than 12% of the total inflators now involved. Making the fixes has not been easy. Drivers across the country have been calling and waiting. Hundreds of injuries have also been linked to the faulty inflators, including the airbag explosion that left a hole in Angelina Sujata's chest.
Everybody kept telling me airbags don't do that. That's the problem, is these ones are, and that's not right and that's not okay.
At the current rate, the airbag fixes won't be completed for more than 3 years. Rosekind said today he sympathizes.
My family has a vehicle, the Takata inflator, that's sitting in our driveway. So I fully understand the frustration.
There are questions about whether Takata, based in Japan, can survive this crisis long term. If they can't, Scott, it is not known who pays for the tens of millions of fixes that still need to be made.
Jeff Glor, thanks very much. In fact, we have a list of all these recalled vehicles on our website, cbsnews.com. Today, Barack Obama gave the Good Housekeeping Seal of the President to the troubled waters of Flint, Michigan. And Jerika Duncan is there.
Can I get some water?
Before a crowd of 1,000.
I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
President Obama took a sip of Flint's filtered tap water, assuring the people there that he cares.
I've got your back. Not too long ago, I received a letter.
The president singled out 8-year-old Mari Kopeny.
Mr. President.
She wrote him a letter in March expressing her concerns about the water.
How would you describe the Flint water?
It's nasty.
Why is it nasty?
It gives you bad rashes and headaches.
Flint's water crisis began 2 years ago after the city switched its water supply from Detroit to the Flint River to save money. The water wasn't treated for corrosion, causing lead to leach from aging pipes. 3 government workers have been charged with misconduct and conspiracy to tamper with evidence. One of them was arraigned today and pleaded no contest. Though officials now say filtered tap water is safe, many, like Paris James, don't believe it.
When they said it was okay, it wasn't really okay.
The single mother's daily routine begins at 6 in the morning. Her 3 children get ready for school using bottled water. She drives them 20 minutes outside of Flint to her parents' house to bathe.
So you refuse to pay your water bill?
Mm-hmm. Why pay for poison?
To date, the city has handed out more than 24 million bottles of water and over 100,000 filters. Scott, the mayor here says she wants to replace all of the pipes, but right now there just is not enough money to do that.
Jerika Duncan reporting. Jerika, thank you. There is a terrible fire in Canada that has forced the evacuation of a city of 90,000 residents. Hot weather and drought set off the inferno consuming Fort McMurray. Benita Nair is following this.
With a sudden shift in the winds, the fast-moving fire changed direction and exploded into a raging inferno, tearing towards the city center.
We don't know what we have on our backs.
Let's go.
Frantic residents had only a few minutes to try and escape the flames.
I'm terrified. I'm very scared. I'm very nervous. I don't know if I'll have a home to come back to.
In the chaotic evacuation, traffic was gridlock on the only highway out of town. Some motorists took 5 hours to travel just 12 miles, while walls of flame burned a few feet away. Some reported hearing popping sounds as boats, cars, and campers left behind exploded in the flames. At least 1,600 buildings have been destroyed, and one neighborhood was completely incinerated. Fire Chief Darby Allen.
It's been the worst day of my career. The people here are devastated. Everyone's devastated. The community is going to be devastated. This is going to go on. This is going to take us a while to come back from.
Sadly, we are getting word of fatalities now, a highway accident during the evacuation. Unseasonably high temperatures and strong winds may make it worse again tomorrow. Scott?
Benita Nair following developments. Benita, thank you. Federal drug agents have joined the investigation into Prince's death and will remember a Navy SEAL who gave everything for his country. When the CBS Evening News continues. Tonight, we've learned that federal drug enforcement agents are investigating who provided prescription painkillers that were found in the home of Prince. This comes as a doctor claims that he was working to help the rock legend with drug addiction. Jamie Yukas is in Minneapolis.
In the last 24 hours of Prince's life, the singer was preparing to silence an addiction, according to Dr. Howard Kornfeld's attorney, William Mozzie.
Dr. Kornfeld felt that his mission was a life-saving mission.
Dr. Kornfeld is a nationally recognized addiction treatment specialist who runs an addiction facility in California. Mozzie says on Wednesday, April 20th, his client received a call from a member of Prince's inner circle who described him as suffering from a grave medical condition.
He set into motion a plan to get Prince to a doctor in Minnesota on Thursday morning.
Kornfeld sent his son Andrew to Minnesota on a red-eye flight to walk Prince through the recovery program at his home Thursday morning. That's when the singer's body was discovered.
One of the staff members started screaming. Andrew heard the screams and went to the elevator, where he saw that Prince was unconscious.
In the transcript of the 911 call, Andrew Kornfeld tells the dispatcher, "We're at Prince's house. The person is dead here, and the people are just distraught." Mozzie says Andrew had a supply of addiction treatment medications with him.
And no drugs were ever administered. There was never any intention of drugs being administered.
Andrew Kornfeld has been questioned by investigators. He says those medications were to be delivered to Prince's local doctor. But Scott, if authorities don't believe him, he could be criminally charged.
Jamie Yuccas tonight. Jamie, thank you. We have a rare peek inside a country that few Americans are allowed to visit. That's next. Since 2011, the leader of North Korea has put a bloody grip on power by executing 100 party leaders and generals. Well, now Kim Jong-un will be coronated this week at a rare party congress, and to celebrate, North Korea allowed our correspondent Adriana Diaz a rare visit, which made her homesick for freedom of the press.
This is pint-sized propaganda. They spent the morning singing songs, praising the country's leaders. You can see their photos up on the wall. There's no escape from their watchful gaze. Billboards, meeting halls, they hang in homes like religious icons. Retired teacher Hong Sang-suk told us it's just a part of life. By having their photos on our walls, they're always with us, she said. We can repay their warm love and care. Every detail of our trip is choreographed. Our government guides decide what we see and who we talk to. Our first stop was a farm cooperative, a pet project of President Kim Jong-un. It's a carefully chosen site for Western eyes, in a country that's faced famine and food shortages worsened by economic isolation. Farmer Kim Hak-bao. Hostile countries like the USA do not think well of our country and impose sanctions on us, he said. So we're cultivating our own food with our own hands. Despite the government's emphasis on farming, the UN said last week that food production here fell 9% last year because of drought. Scott, that stands to make this country's already fragile food situation worse.
Asia correspondent Adriana Diaz in the North Korean capital of Pyongyang tonight. Adriana, thank you. And we'll be right back. Charles Keating, the Navy SEAL killed yesterday in Iraq, was rushing to help U.S. allies under attack by ISIS. David Martin tells us more.
By order of the governor, flags in Arizona flew at half-staff today in memory of Petty Officer First Class Charles Keating IV. His teammates in the Navy SEALs, where his brother also serves, called him C4, since he was the fourth to bear what in Arizona is a household name. His grandfather, Charles Keating Jr., a champion swimmer during his college years, was a financier sent to prison in a bank scandal that implicated several U.S. senators. His father, Charles Keating III, was a three-time All-American swimmer at Indiana University. C4 was a star distance runner in high school, where track coach Rob Renwicki remembers him as the kid with the $1 million smile.
He had a big heart, big smile, happy-go-lucky kid. He was the kind of kid that walked into a room and the room lit up.
After high school, he ran for Indiana but left college to join the SEALs, beginning with the notoriously tough basic training and going on to serve 2 combat tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. The ribbons on his chest include a Bronze Star with Valor. He quietly married before he left on what turned out to be his final mission, back to Iraq, this time to fight ISIS. His commander said he fittingly went down swinging alongside his brothers in a withering firefight right where he wanted to be. His death got a lot of attention because of his name. But when you find out who C4 was and how he lived his 31 years, you owe him not just attention, but as the governor of Arizona said, our thoughts, prayers, and eternal gratitude. David Martin, CBS News, The Pentagon.
And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. For all of us at CBS News all around the world, good night.